destroyed. It was all messed up. It would never take any pictures again. So that's one of the things that confronted, or that the police were able to see. The other thing that they were able to find came from the body, things that they needed to know. And one of the things that they noted from that was that this was a very violent attack that took some time. The reason that it was a very violent attack is that there were 3 ways that he was killed. It wasn't just one shot, it was more than that. And what the medical examiner was able to find was, his name's Kevin Horn, was that there was a stab to the heart area that was not immediately or rapidly fatal. And what that means is, he's stabbed and he still lives. He still can walk, he can still stand, he can still grab, he can still speak. That's not immediately fatal, and it's not rapidly fatal. The other thing that the medical examiner found, but it would kill him, this stab to the heart. The other thing that the medical examiner found was that his throat was slit from ear to ear. And that one was rapidly fatal, which means it would have killed him very quickly because of the blood loss. Not only would it have killed him very quickly, but he would not have gained or had consciousness for a very long period of time. He would have almost immediately have lapsed into unconsciousness. So the one to the throat. Well, and the one to the head, well, again, since that involved the brain, and although the body was decomposed, according to the medical examiner, that one was also rapidly fatal. And additionally, he would lose consciousness immediately. Based on that, and based on the fact that Mr. Alexander in his hands had what the medical examiner is going to term as defensive wounds. In other words, Mr. Alexander did not die calmly. He fought. Whoever this person was that had killed him, he had fought, which meant that he was conscious at the time. So what that meant is that with regard to the injuries that were inflicted, according to the medical examiner, the first injury was the one to the heart. And when that was inflicted, Mr. Alexander at some point began to fight. And what he was able to do was grab the knife, but he grabbed the blade of the knife so that he has cuts in his hand as he's fighting, presumably for his life. They're called defensive wounds. And given that there was blood over the sink that we have over here, and that the sink is waist level, and that blood is coming down from a source, Mr. Alexander was able to get up from where he was standing at this point, go over to the sink, stand there, and bleed. But those aren't the only wounds that he had. He had a grouping of wounds back here, behind his neck, on his shoulders. He had some on his head. He had some on his ears. He had some here, too. And by here, I mean his front torso area. So the first hit, if you will, was to the heart area. And he was walking around. He was grabbing the knife. He was trying to defend himself. And that's why they call them defensive wounds. Given the blood spatter pattern, he ended up over here where the 45 was. And when he ended up there, that's when his throat was slit. And he was still alive, and we know that because of the amount of blood that was there. So whoever had done it basically followed him around, gone to where that 45 is, went to finish him off and cut his throat. But they weren't through with him. What they did is, this individual then, killer, dragged him this way, towards the area of the sink. And in that area of the sink, where that number 1 is, right in that general area, and according to the medical examiner, by that time, he was probably most likely dead, finished the job as if it needed to be finished. Because the first one, even though it wasn't rapidly fatal, was going to be fatal. The second one, for sure, was totally fatal. The third one, well, took a shot, stuck it in his temple, and the body was at that point more likely than not dead. So Mr. Alexander probably didn't feel that one.